Hello everyone, I am Rajesh, co-founder and CEO of Venwiz. At Venwiz, we are disrupting the project procurement space using an AI-enabled platform in the vendor assessment and vendor discovery space. Welcome to ProSquare, a podcast series with actionable insights from industry leaders who are living and breathing this problem. Please do follow us on YouTube and LinkedIn to gather more updates. Today, we are talking to Hardik Lalani. Hardik is VP Procurement at GPS Renewables, which is one of the leading technology providers in the compressed biogas space. The number of CBG plants in India has grown over 7 times in the last 4 years, and companies like Reliance and the large oil marketing companies and government institutions have increased their investment in this space. Hardik is a seasoned procurement professional and has an experience of over 17 years working across steel, EPC, power transmission, and renewable energy sectors. Hi, Hardik. Pleasure to have you here today.
Thank you, Rajesh and Venwiz team for giving me this wonderful opportunity to interact with you.
Could you tell us a little bit about the CBG space and the current trends you are seeing in the market?
Well, CBG, or I'll say first biogas. So biogas exists for more than 100 years.
Okay.
And if we look at last 2 to 3 decades, commercial application of biogas has already picked up in terms of the captive requirement as well as for the commercial requirement.
Okay.
But if we talk about using a compressed biogas, which is typically CBG, that has come into the picture for using that as a transport when central government rolled out a scheme called Satat. It also generates the organic fertilizer, a carbon-rich fertilizer, which can help to revitalize the soil and improve the fertility. Moreover, as I said, that this helps in reducing the import of gas. It saves forex for the country, as well as it can gives opportunity for generating a carbon credit. And the good part is that the stakeholder of the lowest person in the value chain, a farmer, he has potential to participate in the CBG sector. He can earn carbon credit, and it's actually a win-win situation for entire ecosystem.
Now, more question on GPS as a company. You are the leading technology providers in this space, right? What kind of growth have you seen? As an industry, like I said, the number of plants have grown 7x, but what's the growth GPS has seen over the last few years?
Sure. So let me tell you first that GPS is today the world's largest biogas engineering company.
Oh, world's largest.
Yeah, so we have today unmatched capabilities in research and development, designing, engineering, procurement, construction, which is the EPC phase, as well as the operation and maintenance. We have offices in India as well as now in Germany. If we talk about our journey, though, so we have built Asia's biggest CBG asset based on municipal solid waste. We have also executed world's fastest executed project in the Uttar Pradesh based on the paddy straw. We have been collaborated with one of the largest conglomerate for developing CBG asset across the India. We have formed equity joint venture with public sector companies, IOCL, BPCL for co-development of CBG assets. Well, on top of that, GPS Renewables product solution arm Optimax delivers the biogas cleaning and upgradation system with unmatched efficiency. In addition to this, Bio Urja is our flagship product, which provides provides a good solution, the commercial grade of CBG application, and we have already more than 100 plus installation across the India and more than India and Asia. Okay. And top of that, currently we are executing 15 projects in parallel, and I can say that it's just the beginning of a ambitious journey, and for time to come we are looking for many more projects to become on an execution floor.
Great. So, is there a number of plants live you would like to share with respect to GPS right now?
So, as I said, that we are currently executing 15 projects, and we are seeing a very, very ambitious, the growth plan for time to come. And going forward, the numbers will just going to go up. 15 will become probably a benchmark for us.
Like actually, what I foresee is this kind of amazing growth comes with its own challenges, right? Especially with respect to execution and your commitments to clients, etc. Right? Now, as a VP of procurement, right, as a leader in the procurement team, does this align with what you have seen in terms of challenges, in terms of growth?
Well, of course, yes, and we will have to keep a pace with how industry is moving and how we have to move. And of course, the journey is incomplete without challenges. And probably, if we talk about draw the parallels from other industries. So if we talk about, say, oil and gas, or some metal and mining industry, power, or FMCG, paper and pulp. Today, the advantages with those industries are that they are already established industries. There is a mature ecosystem exists, whether it regards to the process know-how, human resources, or even for the strong vendor ecosystem, so that solutions can be deployed much faster way. Whereas, the rising sector like CBG, which fast evolving and going to get into a formal shape of industry. We are in the phase of delivering and developing those systems, and it's not just GPS. Along with GPS, we are also defining the industry. So, but natural, when you are setting up the organization, setting up the industry, the challenges would be different than when you are working in a industry which is already matured, established industry.
Sure. Then, what would you say are some of the unique strategies which you as a leader or you as a company at GPS have used to overcome such procurement related challenges?
Well, strategy is very simple, and what we believe is in collaborative approach, because a conventional transactional buyer-seller relationship cannot help to set up the industry and grow at a breakneck speed. And the collaborative approach is what makes a difference at GPS compared to anywhere else. So we work closely with our vendor partners, and we expect that a reciprocal action from them, and that's how it makes much more successful and cohesive joint delivery of the projects, and that makes project delivery successful. Developing a strong vendor ecosystem is the main focus area, and for that we spoke about the vendor development, vendor capability assessment, and then vendor onboarding. So when we talk about vendor assessment or vendor sourcing, we need to do a variety of checks of vendors. So that's where probably a technology plays a role, that initial screening of the vendors or the KYV of the vendors, or we typically call it desktop KYV, can be completed using technology, where in case of, for example, if I want to set a criteria that I want to work with a contractor based on my business requirement, I want to engage a contractor who is turning a turnover of more than certain value, then those criteria, those filters can be done, and probably that's where players like Venwiz comes into the play, that they helps in achieving those primary KYV very fast, and the secondary KYV can be done by the GPS procurement team. So that's where we see that a lot of value addition, time saving happens when we engage with a platform like Venwiz. And that also gives you a lot of insight about the capabilities of vendor, the customer centricity, and their preparedness for exposing themselves to a new sector where set right or conventional solution may not work, and you need much extended solution or much enterprising mindset to derive a solution.
Okay. Like now you've been using Venwiz over the last 4-5 months or 6 months. What specific areas you think Venwiz has been able to add value for you?
Yeah, so the one big area is that as a country we have a scattered vendor base. So we may be executing a job say in say Kerala, but I want to execute next projects in Madhya Pradesh, for example. There may have a good vendor partners, but as a organization you may always not have visibility to reach out to those vendor partners, and that's where probably online platform can help us, like Venwiz can help us to get discovery of those vendors. So the vendor discovery or vendor sourcing or vendor onboarding becomes a very important part of the journey, and those scattered information can be consolidated and can be sourced. So probably this is one area where we see a good synergy.
Sure, sure. I'm glad that you mentioned about the scattered nature of your requirements, right? Even when we started building Venwiz, the fundamental understanding is the fragmented nature of the MSME space. Like for every job, there are genuinely multiple number of options in the market, whereas humanly sourceable could be only 3 or 5 or max 10, right? But if you have to assess vendors who are in hundreds of numbers, you need to have a digital means to which how you are assessing that vendor base, and that is where we felt a tool kind of helps, right? And at the end of the day, both GPS and Venwiz would want to see that you are able to solve the problem for every RFQ at hand. Our goal was to empower project procurement teams to get so much intelligence on the vendors so that they're able to make the decisions easily, or rather focus on the decision making part, whereas all the intelligence is available to them. So that's been our focus also.
Right.
And are there any playbooks or processes which you have redesigned at your company, or it's natural?
No, it's evolving. It's evolving, and we see that how we can plug in those external information with the our ERP system, so that digital trail or the data records can be maintained in much better way to retrieve in the future. So if we just talk about any procurement journey or the spend categorization, typically I personally follow that, and it's widely utilized by the industry, is the Kraljic matrix. It's a 2x2 matrix which talks about resource versus risk or the value what you are talking about. Mm-hmm. So the 4 quadrant talks about the classification of vendors or your spend base, and there you understand that which quadrant require what kind of action. So typically a quadrant where you have high value at stake and you have very less number of the vendor partners available, so that requires a different approach, more of a collaborative approach than a situation where you have multiple vendor choices and the value is also high. So that more of a strategic nature, that you want to get into certain kind of agreement with them, and you can see that your business just keeps going.
Continuity.
So yeah, so the first and foremost framework is the spend classification and the category creation. So based on that, you can drill down further how to drive those strategies into procurement to make it more the project centric or the aligned to the overall organization's goal in terms of the delivery of the project.
So you're saying each category in the 2x2 matrix, you will have a different strategy on how to make the sourcing happen.
Right. And most of the project organizations or EPC industry typically follow the category procurement. So that also helps in bringing the category expertise from the EPC perspective, and it also brings in the the consistency in the relationship building with the vendor partners of that category. So I think it's a win-win situation from both the side, and it brings the real value addition. So that's the approach most of the EPC companies have always followed.
Great. With growing and evolving MSME landscape, what we are seeing is every new industry like CBG needs to actively invest in or even reimagine their process of vendor scouting or vendor assessment process, right? Without that, scaling at the pace which companies like GPS are growing, which becomes very, very difficult, right? And what I would like to know, Hardik, is you have had experience across multiple industries, right? So how are you seeing the transition of procurement as a function, like the similarities or differences in how procurement is happening in your different experience companies?
Sure. So, give you a perspective, certain attributes of EPC would remain same across the the sector you operate in, but then you will have sectorial specific challenges or advantages or disadvantages. So mix of both needs to be factored in. So any EPC project if you do, then it's a standard that the typical difference between, a lot of time people say that procurement is a procurement, whether it's a project procurement or it's the any other procurement. But what different lies in project procurement compared to any other sector is that here you are dealing with a lot of uncertainties and unexpectedness. So when I say this unexpectedness and uncertainty is that a lot of time it happens that during the course of execution, in the mid of the project, a requirement gets changed, customer has a different expectation. Sometimes it also happens that your detail engineering phase gets extended for much longer discussion and for consultation with the customers, and that creates a lot of a pressure on the subsequent activities of procurement and construction and overall project deliveries. So typically what happens is that for project procurement professional, they obviously deal with the schedule, budget, scope of work, and all those juggleries. And as a project delivery as a professional, you want to deliver the project on time. Sometimes a poorly drafted contract between the project developers and EPC also leads to a lot of dispute, and end of the day project suffers. So certain things are going to be there, and that's how it's called a project, that you start conceptualizing something, midway you realize something, that what's working, what's not working, and customer expectation built up, and you need to accommodate all the requests and execute the job. So that's what makes a project procurement a bit different than the conventional procurement. And if we talk about draw parallels of the procurement in other established industry versus rising industry like CBG, so I'll put it in terms of a sporting event or a cricketing terminology, that when you are building the large scale refineries or power plant which runs typically into 3 to 5 years, if you compare them to cricketing parlance, it's like a test match, whereas you are building the CBG where your overall project delivery time is very short, so it's like T20. So basic cricketing skills or say basic procurement skill remains the same, but what difference is in CBG is that the intensity with which you work, or the different focus is needed, and adaptability is what makes a difference here, because projects are short, the expectations are different, and as I mentioned at the beginning of the discussion, that the industry is being formed, so you are working against a lot of odds, and you might not have sufficient ecosystem, or a lot of improvisations are being plugged in. So against all this thing, you need to work and still ensure that project gets delivered, and that makes CBG space really interesting compared to established sectors. Rajesh.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely interesting analogy. Now, with the analogy, what I can understand is your procurement at GPS for the CBG space is very, very fast, and it requires a lot of different kind of learnings from what you have done in the past, right? Now, most of such things happen only when you have innovative solutions, technology get added to how you are doing it, right? What kind of areas are you seeing technology playing the facilitator role here?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great question, and I would say that one area where probably we as a entire industry lack is that we do not have the consolidated data on the vendor performances. So to take a learning straight out of consumer business today, that if you want to go to a jewelry shop or hospital or restaurant or hotel, uh, the 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 by default process for a customer or consumer to make a decision is they scan through the ratings of the vendors or the performance or the service provided, and that becomes the integral part of a decision making while selecting a service provider. Now if we take a parallel of that activity, what we do in our usual life, into a project industry or any infrastructure building project, today we do not have any platform where a single point data is available. Yes, each organization has their own vendor performance review system. They have their own data about how is vendor performing vis-a-vis their performance. But if there is a existing, there is an ecosystem available where they can fetch data about the vendor performance, that could make a difference. And it's not just about the existing vendor or manufacturing setup, it also involves the service providers. So today, if we talk about ESG perspective or onboarding any new contractor, typically, you may still get to understand about financial discipline being followed by that a contractor through GST portal. But if you want to really get into the legal checks of that contractor and what kind of performance is flaring and what kind of reputation is carrying in the market, it's difficult. I mean, it's next to impossible today, because we do not have, as a country, any centralized data available to validate those facts. So probably there where, that's the space where, there is a gap, and that's where if we can develop with some platform where, the entire stakeholder of the industry come together and we can fetch data and gets the rating or something like a CBL score, right? You get the consumer gets their loan approval based on the CBL score of a person. Similar to that, if some scoring mechanism which is available across the sector or across the industry, so that will make a decision much more valid. Of course, it does not do away with the vendor capability analysis or vendor assessment being done by the project companies before onboarding them. Correct. But it will add as a add on that it will become an initial filter that, okay, I want to work with a company having a CBL score of 750 or more. So correct. You are putting those filters, and that will also ensure that the vendor partners also have good opportunity to demonstrate their performance and remain more, the aligned to the expectation of the overall industry set mark, and that collectively we can raise the bar about the how industry functions or how overall project delivery can be achieved in a much more professional way and quality delivery and a timeline. Rajesh.
Sure. And so you've been a procurement professional all through, right? How do you see this space evolving in the next 10 years or so?
Well, space is evolving, and what we have already been seeing in the market is that we have gone past old days when the repetitive processes of procurement is being managed by the procurement professionals. Today, we have, I'll answer in two parts, that there are certain inward actions and there are certain outward actions. So if we talk about inward actions, most of the organizations have now their rock solid ERP system, they have their own project management tools which interact with each other. They have their own material and service code data bank, and that sets the foundation for the building any algorithms or a structured data basically. Correct. So organizations having those data are actually leveraging on facilitating or making the decision much faster. And if we talk about the external system, if we talk about, then we have a lot of software companies, SaaS we call it, are available in the market, who provides lot of different solutions which can take away your repetitive procurement task and can help procurement professional to spend their maximum time on the core activities or strategic activities to align with the organization needs. So whether it's keeping a digital trail or digital data record keeping or running the RFPs or even the price discovery through reverse auction, or so and so. So a lot of platform exist. So combination of everything can be, be good recipe for making digitization further, going ahead, and it helps in achieving more agility in delivering the projects.
Okay. True. So what I also take from your point is, in the next 10 years, you are seeing that all of these will come to play in a more significant way and become integrated, is what you foresee?
Yeah, it's going to happen, but I just say that if you prefix project to word procurement, believe me, the craziness and the excitement will remain as it is today. Of course, this technology will help us to make it a more decision making, but those challenges, uncertainties will going to remain there. And I'll say that see, the technology is an enabler. Fundamentals are going to remain the same. It's not going to get changed. And a lot of time debate happens that project procurement has not adopted digitization the way other procurement industry has, other aspect of the industry has taken. But my counter argument to that situation is that you cannot see all the situation through a single prism, right? So while the inherent nature of the business is that it has got a lot of uncertainty, then where there is no logic or no algorithm can defy to get into more digitization. So yes, decision making will be much better. It will be data driven decision making, and more structured ecosystem would be there to exist, and the procurement guys would be more of a strategic role aligned to the organization's needs.
Yeah. So your statement is actually music to me, that there's a very tough space, and anybody who is solving some parts of it would definitely enable the real project procurement.
Yeah, right.
So that's what I feel. Okay. Hardik, within our team, we speak a lot about developments in the Industry 5.0 space, which will lead to a lot of changes in procurement. And the future, as we foresee, is not just about digitization, but a lot about decision intelligence, and that too a predictably available intelligence. Like, you want to have intelligence for making decisions. At the same time, it has to be available for me every time I'm getting to a similar situation, right? If that is not there, then I can't assume that's a resource which is available to me. So that's why it is supposed to be there.
Right. And I think that's the reason I said that data or structured data is going to make a lot of difference, because if you talk about the procurement professionals and any industry, that they run into generating multiple material code and service codes, and if those codes are not being structured well, you are creating a big legacy issue. And then even though you want to jump onto the latest technology and algorithms of AI ML, but you'll not able to succeed, because the foundation of any decision making is the structured data, which is missing. So that is going to play a very, very crucial role if you become more agile, or as you rightly said, the data driven decision making. For that, organized structured data is going to play a huge role.
Yeah. So even my last statement was supposed to be in that direction, where the competitive edge for procurement teams is not just going to be negotiation skills anymore.
Right.
It will be about agility, the speed, and a complete data driven decision making. Right. And thanks, Hardik, for joining us on this podcast. And it's pleasure to have you on the first event in our ProSquare series. Thank you so much for joining in.
Thank you, Rajesh. Thank you, Venwiz team, for giving me this opportunity. It was wonderful interacting with all of you. Thank you very much.